Today's Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. You know what time it is.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds,
when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway?
Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Good morning, and thank you for joining me on the show today. Thanks for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated, as always. You are my elevator family. I've said it once and many, many times before that you are what make me do this show or help me get out of bed every morning, every Wednesday, and I greatly appreciate that. Hey, thanks to everybody for the well wishes for my mom. As of 2 nights ago, she's finally turned the corner where she's getting stronger, and with the wonderful care from my wife and that she's just been unbelievable, as well as much as I have been able to contribute, and my dad, plus her physical therapists and her nurse that visits twice a week, as well as her palliative care. She's got an entire team surrounded by her that are definitely trying to get her better, make her better, and get her strength back, which is awesome. So I was worried there for a long time, and this is going on week number 3, maybe 4. And as I mentioned before, it was just one of those things where getting sick right now is not the time to get sick. It's just not. And I feel for anybody going through any type of family member who's ill, whether it's COVID-19 related or something else, battling cancer, or anything like that involves trying to get to a hospital. Even for pets, it's very difficult to do that as well. So just hang in there, and hopefully we'll see some light at the end of the tunnel. But I do greatly appreciate all the well wishes, through email and text and voicemails and whatnot. It's a little overwhelming, and I know she appreciates it as well. And I share those comments with her too. So thank you for that. Definitely appreciate that. We got a good show for you today. We are talking, we're getting back to basics. If you read my blog post, I'm going to go off on a rant in a little bit because the reality is there was a report of a fatality, elevator mechanic who was found unresponsive in an elevator pit at a job site in Oklahoma. And when I read the article, it just basically reset myself in knowing truly what is, important, and just how dangerous the world is beyond COVID-19, beyond the coronavirus. Because our bodies, we as human beings are fragile. It doesn't take much for our lives to just end. It could be a car accident, could be a blockage, a little tiny blockage in your artery. It could be cancer cells. It could be anything. And I feel as if we are so focused and centered around COVID-19 and coronavirus that we've almost lost truly the vision of other dangers in the world. And it kills me when you take a step back, or you take a mile step back, you take a jog back, where you're looking in at this whole thing. The dangers that mechanics face in the field every day are real. They're not going away. And if our industry, if whoever spent this amount of time and money trying to prevent accidents from occurring in any job site, anywhere, I think we would have less fatalities. You think about the money, you think about just everything to try to, quote, flatten the curve to the point where the coronavirus doesn't overwhelm hospitals, when in many cases, it's actually prevented certain surgeries and medical procedures from occurring because hospitals they want to make sure they're ready for the inrush of patients that they are expecting to see. And for that has a cost that's associated with it as well. So, again, I'll get into the news article in a little bit, but my point here, and I'm not taking anything away from how dangerous COVID-19 is or how dangerous it can be to certain parts of our population. But if we spent as much time and effort and money on everything, car accidents, on drug overdoses, cancer, we would be a much better world for it. You know? So it's like resetting how we think of danger in the world. I truly hope we get back to the point where none of us are walking around thinking that somebody has the plague or somebody is contaminated or somebody's going to get me sick. Because the world, unfortunately, is filled with like just freaking selfish people to the point where it drives me nuts. When you see somebody walking out of a grocery store with their cart with plastic gloves, the disposal kind, and then basically putting those gloves in the cart for somebody else to take out and put somewhere else. I mean, how much more selfish can you be than that? I'm not saying don't protect yourself. I'm not saying be careful, not to be careful and take the proper, safety measures. But at the end of the day, we literally are focused and so focused on this thing because we just don't know enough about it, and that changes every day as well. I mean, the CDC came out and basically indicated new side effects or new conditions that might indicate you have COVID-19, which pretty much says if you're sick, you probably have it. If you got a fever, if you got the chills, you might have it. So at what point can we get back to normal? To some normal, not the new normal, just the normal where we all take the proper safety measures. And maybe, just maybe, we as a country, our government organizations or whatever you want to call it, can focus on truly some issues that relate to worker safety rather than ladders and other stuff that may not be as critical, and truly make the world a better place. There are dangers around us all day long. I see it every day. I see moms with little kids walking across the street with their face buried in a phone as their kid is like running across the street with, basically with, no regard for looking at traffic and stuff like that. So that was my big moment thought of the day, is I wish that we could look at every danger out there as if it were the coronavirus. I think the world would be a better place. We spent this much time, this much effort on it. I truly believe that we could make a bigger impact. And unfortunately and sadly, I don't think that'll happen. And I'm not sure why. So that is my rant for the day. You don't have to read the blog post because I probably left out words and all sorts of stuff in it. But I wanted to get that point across because losing one death is too many, in my opinion, as it relates to those that work on our equipment, that maintain it, that inspect it. And the reality is that they're most likely preventable accidents. There are not too many incidents where an elevator, injures or maims a person just on its own without some type of human interaction or human error that causes that to happen. And obviously our thoughts and go out to the family of the 26-year-old who lost his life in Oklahoma, not to COVID-19, but to an environment that is not necessarily easy to work with and it poses a bunch of different dangerous effects. So let's just hope that out of this whole coronavirus thing, that perhaps we all take a look at every single element of safety as it relates to what we do each day, and we take steps to make those better. Okay, and we treat those those dangers as seriously as we are treating coronavirus. When at the end of the day, freaking wash your hands, don't touch your eyes and your nose and your mouth, and basically, if you wear a face mask, boom. What else do you need to do? Honestly, there's just not enough information, and I got to tell you, it's wearing me out. This coronavirus thing is wearing me out to the point where I am just ready to every day. I spend a good part of the day getting updates from my payroll company, from the investing groups, from everybody, and like nobody has a clue, from the governor every day. And it's as if we're just terrified to do anything other than just think about this thing. And so many officials and scientists and doctors don't know enough to even try to make some type of attempt of either opening up our economy or just being safe. It's not that difficult. It is not that difficult. Really. It's 3 things you got to do. You don't need to force businesses to do anything. They can do stuff on their own. I'm already doing that. We are already, it's anybody who's sick, they go home. I don't scan their forehead. Everybody has masks. If they want to wear it, they can wear it. If they don't, they don't. That's good. Everybody's disinfecting their stations at the end of every day or as often as they want during the day. Got stations all over the facility here. What else are we doing? Packages come in through the front door, they're left there. They're handled a little bit differently. We don't let outsiders in. Just, willy-nilly, never did that. But what else can you do? You test the population, you find out that everybody, the majority are asymptomatic or whatever. Then what do you do at that point? You put you give them a tattoo on their forehead that says A. What you put them in a locked, facility and make sure they all contract each other's stuff. I don't, at what point? I understand the isolation of what they're trying to do, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, it's not that difficult. We should all be able to move on from this and take the proper steps on our own to get back to our working economy, because the reality is that every worker is essential in our economy. Every single worker. It doesn't just stop at the elevator mechanic or the nurse or the doctor. And I feel for them. They are worn out. I mean, I know what it's like to work in an environment where you go home every day to a neighborhood that pretty much everybody's working from home, or people are not working, or people have no jobs. And it's like, 26 million of unemployed it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it just wears you out. I mean, all I can say is I'm doing my best to hang in there, but at some point it's like, man, I just want things to get back to normal. I know everybody does at the same time, but man, like our governor is just not providing the information that is setting, putting people at ease in terms of how they think of this and any kind of future plan of or hope that we'll try to get back to that point. It's very frustrating. And I think I could provide a lot of advice. So, hey, our governor, any governor that would like to call me up, please do so. My cell number is 847-331-5343. I will give you my direct advice on how you can definitely possibly do that. I won't even charge for it. You don't have to pay a consultant. You don't have to pay an epidemiologist. I know I didn't spell that or say it right, but reality is I think we can get back to normal, or somewhat of a normal, if we all basically take steps that are outlined by the CDC. Okay, that's my rant. Hopefully that wasn't too unclear or whatnot. And feel free to correct me if you'd like. I'm not taking anything away from how dangerous this disease is or can be, or, to certain parts of the population. I have plenty of older friends. Most of my friends are older, much older. Tiffany jokes to me about that all the time, like, which I have no problem. I love that. Honestly, I love that. Those that are elders or those that are older than us have so much to share, and I cherish that. I tell my boys that all the time, like never discount anybody who's older than you, or the stories or the experience that they have to share. Take that in and absorb it like a sponge. Just do it. So yeah, I don't want to see anybody get affected or inflicted, or I don't want to see anybody die from this either. So. But I just want things to get back to normal. I think we can do that. So yeah, Governor Pritzker, please give me a call. I've left you a bunch of messages, and I got a whole plan. It's basically a paragraph long, bullet points, boom, 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 maybe 3, 4. We're done. We are done. We are done. This is we have to wait and see where the numbers are at. None of that stuff. No, I think we're there. We're already decreasing in the numbers that we're seeing, and I think we can do it. Let's just think positive. So, all right, let's get into the news content of the show. There wasn't a whole lot of elevator-related stuff, but the first one that I wanted to make sure I hit hard, okay? This one coming from the Ensign News and Eagle in Oklahoma. Advanced Air Force Base in Oklahoma, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, will be investigating an accident that claimed the life of a subcontractor, Advanced Air Force Base, on Monday. We're deeply saddened to share that one of our beloved ThyssenKrupp elevator team members, Taylor Lewis, passed away on Monday, April 27th, due to injuries sustained on a job site at Advanced Air Force Base in Enid, Oklahoma. They don't have any information on this regarding it. It's tragic, and again, just puts into perspective just how dangerous the environments that our elevator mechanics are working in today. So just be safe out there. I would have to say that COVID is probably not going to, inflict or affect most mechanics out there, as long as the proper safety steps are being taken. But this is just terrible. So I hope that this resets most of us in what we think is dangerous, and ensuring that, at the end of the day, the worries inside of our minds can kind of be contained and put in perspective when we take a mild step back and we truly look in on this and say, I'm worried about coronavirus, but at the end of the day, man, I'm in an elevator shaft every day, and there's lots of stuff in there that can definitely affect and inflict what the heck is going to happen to me. So need to make sure we're taking the proper steps to ensure that environment does not change, does not damage, does not end my life or injure me in a way that it possibly could. So use this article and let's make sure that we truly reset how we think about safety every day we get out of bed. Okay, that's it. That's the most important story of this show and of this week. And let's hope. Let's move towards a direction that we truly are getting to a safer environment for those that work in and around elevators. The next few articles are going to be talking mainly about basically, let's see here. Yeah, basically about how office spaces are going to look once they get back to the office. They're all about that. And it doesn't just affect elevators. It doesn't just affect elevators at all. It affects actually much more than that. It affects workspaces. It affects where we eat. It affects a lot of stuff. And I think what you're going to find, you're going to see more people that are working from home. You're going to see shifts, and you might not see the same number of people in buildings that we're all accustomed to seeing. That is, if people actually go back to work, and that'll be a very interesting thing to see. And I attended a presentation or a seminar from one of our companies, that our banks, talking about how they're managing the situation. And there's nothing more frustrating than I didn't know really what the presentation was going to be about. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why. It was almost like for employees, because they were telling their clients what they were doing at work to ensure everybody was safe. And then you had people that were writing into them asking questions like, well, what if I get a fever for 2 hours and then I'm fine? Can I still work? And I'm like, who's asking these questions? A, and then B, are you kidding me? I mean, you got a fever, go home. You figure, go talk to your doctor. Don't ask some financial advisor what you should be doing. Just like, so it's very frustrating. So then at that point, I broke into my own questions, asking if, hey, is my Darth Vader mask, can I wear that? Is that an effective means of preventing the virus from getting out of my body? I mean, it's like, and the financial advisor guy literally he was just all over it. He's like, yeah, no, we might consider that you have COVID, so we would tell you to go home. I mean, it's going to be an interesting landscape for a lot of these office buildings. I mean, very interesting as it relates to lawsuits, as it relates to everything. But, I agree. Don't go to the office if you're sick, bottom line. I mean, that's just good practice, and all of us do it, obviously. But at the end of the day, you're so much better not doing that. So, yeah, for sure. So one of the articles here is that distancing at reopened offices will mean long elevator lines, and they are absolutely right. It'll be interesting whether or not destination dispatch systems pick up because of this. I wouldn't doubt it. But whether or not that would probably be the only way of containing or ensuring that only 2 people or whatever are allowed in the elevator space that is there. Maybe you'll see bigger elevators being made in other buildings. Maybe freight cars will be used. Maybe people will be put in boxes and then little slots and then disinfected anyway, but I remember long lines at elevators, man. First year in college, downtown, Columbia University, man, I hated them. The whole lobby was jam-packed. Guys, students would jam in an elevator. I would always take the stairs. But that's all another problem. You can't really get away in a stairway either. You're exercising, you're breathing, you're walking upstairs. So it'll be interesting. I know my neighbor said flat out, he's like, I'm not taking the train to downtown. That's one thing he's not doing. So that's going to hurt a bunch of different industries, obviously. So, but it will be interesting to see what the landscape, kind of turns out. I know, there are people out there working on solutions to this to put people's minds at ease, and I'm proud to be one of them, along with some others out there who I have great deals of respect for. So yeah. Barclays CEO says putting 7,000 people in a building may be a thing of the past. I agree with that. What's going to happen to all these big buildings, I wonder, huh? I wonder. Yeah, it's, man, I really hope we return to this, because isolation is not a good thing at all. At all. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be time. So again, here's another article, social distancing. And again, this is really what I think we just need to focus on. Social distancing, okay, so we just keep our space, don't cough on people, and then clean everything as much as you possibly can. I mean, that's critical, and I don't think we're ever doing that enough. And if we do all of these things, I think we'll be okay, and just, we'll just do our best. Just keep plugging along. Just keep plugging along. So, and let's see here. Elevator and escalator market set for rapid growth in 2026. This article has been popping up. It's actually it's basically a blog post that's linked multiple times, trying to get somebody to buy these reports for a lot of money. And I'm not sure how this is going to change, or where that rapid growth is necessarily going to be coming from. Whether or not, I just don't know, but it'll be interesting to see whether or not this is true. I just don't see it. I think as more and more people work at home, the need for buildings and skyscrapers is going to decrease. So I do not think when this was put together, I think it was before coronavirus, and I don't believe that the information in this is necessarily accurate anymore. So if they're predicting a growth by 2026, it'll be interesting to see how that happens, or how they figure that. And last article, or it's actually a video, and it's just some humor. Okay, don't get mad at me because I'm showing it. I just think it puts into perspective just some of the information that we have received as we started the stay-at-home orders in the different states, or at least in Illinois. So it's a little contradictory. I understand, and I'm not going to play it on the show, but it is. Actually, I will play on the show because it's humorous. And again, don't get mad at me. Please don't get mad at me at this. Or you can get mad at me. I really don't care. But it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating, especially in the state of Illinois, because some of the stuff they're doing. I mean, Mayor Lightfoot said you can't go boating. You can't have more than 2 people in a boat, and it has to be a family member. Okay, so first of all, not too many people boat, and second of all, I don't think you can close the lake down like that. I mean, I know they've closed the beaches down, but that's a little frustrating. And then also they closed the forest preserves. They closed a few of the forest preserves around or in Chicago, and only on the weekends though. Because everybody's working during the week. So like, oh yeah, we'll just close them on the weekends because that's when people flock to them. Well, guess what? They're still flocking to them, and I can't think of a better place to be than in the forest preserve, getting some exercise. So I'm going to play this for you. I hope you find just a smile from it. And again, I'm not taking anything away from washing your hands, keeping yourself safe. And what else was the other thing? Washing your hands, keeping yourself safe by social distancing, coughing into your arm, all that good stuff. What else is there? Probably some other stuff in there, but this isn't that complicated. It's not that complicated. So just hang in there, and let's just hope for better news sooner than later, much sooner than later. And we hope that, some of the rules that accompany the reopening are not so strict that they basically kill businesses, because that might be what happens next. So enjoy the video, and as always, it's been my pleasure to bring the show to you. It's been my pleasure. So hang in there, okay? Remember what I said at the beginning of the show. That's the most important part. So let's play this for you. See how it sounds. Probably gonna
Let's say you're moving to Florida.
I'm not moving to Florida. Sorry about that, if that was really loud. This is an ad. I am going to skip the ad.
Following the same rules right now. They're very clear, so let's take a minute and let's go over them again. First, you must not leave the house for any reason, unless of course you have a reason, and then you may leave the house. All stores are closed except those that are open, and all stores must close unless of course they need to stay open. This virus is deadly, but don't be afraid of it. It can only kill people who are vulnerable and also those who are not vulnerable. We should stay locked down until the virus stops infecting people. And it will only stop infecting people if enough of us get infected that we build immunity. So it is very important that we get infected and also do not get infected. You should not go to the doctor's office or the hospital unless you have to go there. Unless, of course, you are too sick to go there. This virus has no effect on children except for those children in which it affects. The virus remains active on different surfaces for 2 hours, or 4 hours, or 6 hours, but in most cases it's days and not hours, and it needs a damp environment, or a cold environment that is warm and dry in the air, unless the air is plastic. Schools are closed, so you need to homeschool your children unless you can send them to school because you are not home. If you are at home, you can school your children using various portals and online classrooms unless you have poor internet, more than one child, only one computer, or you are working from home. Baking cakes can be considered math, science, or art. If you are home educating, you can include household chores within their education curriculum. And if you are home educating, you may start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. every day. If you are not home educating children, you may also start drinking at approximately 10 a.m. Masks are useless at protecting you against the virus, but you still need to wear one because it can save lives. And in some cases, it may even be mandatory, but also maybe not. You must not go to work, but you can get another job, at which point you may go to work. Stay home. I don't know how many more celebrities we need to have tell you how important it is to go outside and take care of your mental health. There is no shortage of groceries in the supermarket. There are simply many things missing. You don't need to go buy a bunch of toilet paper, but you should buy some in case you need it. If you are sick, you may go out once you are better, but those in your household, they cannot go out once you are better unless, of course, they need to go out. Animals are not affected by the virus, except for that cat that tested positive in Belgium in February, plus a couple tigers. The number of corona-related deaths will be announced daily, but we don't know how many people are infected because we were only testing those who are almost dead to determine if that's what they will die of. The people who die of corona who are not counted won't or will be counted, but maybe not. To help protect yourself during these times, you should be eating well and exercising, but exercising only eating what you have at home to avoid going to the stores unless you need toilet paper or a fence panel. It's important to get fresh air, but don't go to parks, but do go walk in other places. Just don't sit down unless you are old or pregnant. But if you do sit down, don't sit for too long. Unless you are old and you are pregnant, in which case you need to sit down. But if you do sit down, don't eat unless you've had a long walk, which you are allowed to do if you are old or pregnant, except for times in which you aren't. Don't visit old people. but you have a moral obligation to take care of old people and bring them food and medicine. And finally, no businesses will go down due to coronavirus except those businesses that go down due to COVID-19. I hope this cleared up any questions about what we should and should not be doing during this time. Please educate your friends and family with this information so we can remove any and all confusion surrounding this time. Thank you.
More than a blogger, an influencer,